Hey guys, it is December 30th, 2020. Lesson 61 in A Course in Miracles student workbook. I am the light of the world. So about 6 years ago, February, or 7 years ago, right? February, I was listening to this book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And I was with someone very dear, right? We were on the beach and we saw something just so beautiful. It's like love just opened the portal, right? Love is a portal through which the unmanifested manifests within this world. So moving forward from that day on, I felt like I had a purpose in this world, and that was to either lead men becoming better men, or just becoming some spiritual teacher, something, right? A life coach. And I had worked very hard to become a dating coach. That everybody can become a dating coach. There's a lot more than people actually say that it really is. And I thought that would be a good transition to becoming a life coach. And I failed miserably, right? And you saw that yesterday if you saw lesson 60, okay? Because my parents came here working so hard, okay? And there's something that I still yet have to understand, because my parents aren't going to be as aware of themselves, of their true selves, like I am. But they're very humble people. And the idea of the meek shall inherit the earth always came up, because I always thought meek was weak, and that's what most people think. So as I take, the vow of the Bodhisattva and go out in the desert once again and maybe fail miserably once again, I'm kidding. I mean, it's not that bad, right? I'll be out there for 2 months. I have the opportunity to sell some spots for my own program, teaching guys self-development, dating, communication skills. And it's great, right? It's just that it's the safety, right? Because this year's been so difficult for us, and especially for the loved ones that we've lost, right? And I know that life is not promised, and the reason why I'm doing these videos is because this information needs to come out. So I like being vulnerable. I like letting you guys know where I'm at, and honest, because you can't trust a leader that's not honest. And leaders create leaders. And for one to be a leader, you must follow. So, the fear came up a lot, right? You could probably see it in my face that I was concerned. But I made a decision, right? I am going to still apply for regular jobs and stuff like that, but I will keep the next 2 to 3 months open for me to have April and May open to travel on the West Coast with Josiah Price from The Attractive Man and see what we can do together, right? And we'll have some help along the way, and I'll be filming and creating content and such. So nonetheless, the actions are being practiced, right? Because you can't just sit on your ass and hope that it's going to happen, right? So you have to get off your ass, the law of Goya. So going back to the idea that the meek shall inherit the earth, we're now seeing how the surrendered state is the highest state, as Michael Singer mentions, okay, many in his lectures, many times in Living from a Place of Surrender, and even his book, The Surrender Experiment, okay, where there was a voice, and this voice was God, and God said, do you or do you not want to see what's beyond you? And it repeated it once again, and that's basically what's going on. So we see our own developments as we see the hierarchy of needs: physiological safety, love and belonging, self-esteem, negative reinforcement, positive self-esteem, positive reinforcement, self-actualization, and self-transcendence. Now we're looking at the NLP model of Robert Dilts, who created the levels of change that was a derivative from Bertrand Russell. So you guys know where this is coming from. So we look at the selfplex, which is how we see ourselves in the world, who we see ourselves in the world, what we see ourselves as in the world, and etc., etc. So we're using the who, what, why, when, where, how, why questions, which are the basic questions, but also allow us to learn, because that's what thinking is asking questions and receiving answers. And that's basically the same thing that we're doing with God, which is our consciousness, which is our mind. Okay? So we look at when and where, which is our environment, and that's where most people start. We start from the bottom up and try to work our way up. And that's how we build ego instead of self. And then when you build ego and create this identity and role, you have to break it down and build yourself up. That's how it works. So we look at environments, and that's where most people are deriving their meaning from. And that's when and where, right? Time and space. This is where I'm at. This is what I must do to survive. This is how I acclimate to the environments that I'm put in, etc., etc. Person, environment, transaction, where you are provoking, evoking, or reacting to the environment, right? And most oftentimes, if you're starting from the bottom, right, you have to learn that you are being evoked by people, and your emotions are leading you astray with the thoughts and feelings, with the actions, results, and then belief systems, which reinforces that paradigm. And then also how we are reacting because of our unconscious patterns, subconscious and unconscious. Then we look at our behaviors. Our actions and behaviors are what we're doing. What we're doing is very mundane, right? Most people are just looking at the what's. They're not seeing anything beyond that. Okay? And again, this is where that whole new earth comes in once again, because that's what created my purpose to have this message for you guys. So next we're looking at the skills and capabilities, which is how. You look at someone in a different environment and you see how they're doing things, and that allows them to create what they're doing in the time and place. So if you start from the top, everything starts to fall into place. Okay? Then we look at why, values and beliefs. From our paradigm, we're always going to go for our biggest need. So if our needs, in terms of the hierarchy of needs, are food, water, shelter, and sex, of course we're going to act like animals and be very selfish. So our values and beliefs are going to be very important as we're looking at why, because then we can see, okay, this is where I'm at in terms of my paradigm, and my biggest need is this. So I must see whether I want to satisfy that or go beyond myself. Okay? Do you do not want to see what's beyond you to bring that into your own reality and understanding of what life is? The more you understand, the more you love yourself, the more you can love others. So now we're looking at identity. Now this identity is self-actualization, which is the idea, okay, of knowing your potentialities and talents, right? It's the fulfillment of these things. So you can learn that you're pretty skilled in some things, and that ego will kind of cast shadow on everything else, right? Our subconscious is basically everything that we avert from. So when we build ourselves in a proper manner, right, that we're stabilized, grounded, and centered within ourselves, and we understand that we're able to do what we're capable of doing because we've been through it, we have the experience and the references, then this identity becomes more solid, right? I can be in any kind of environment, right? This is what I teach the guys, and be myself, whether I have money, whether I have some form of influence, affluence, and I can just make friends wherever I go, be invited to VIP, or meet individuals that can help me through my journey, okay? And then we look at purpose, right? We looked at who am I? Now we're looking at for whom. For what reason am I doing this for? Whether it's for my family, my community, God, right? When we do things and we are a service of others, then we're living at our bliss. We're flowing with life. And again, you can be a football coach, you can be a dad, you can be a janitor. You are giving your service, right, as a vessel for God. And then now we're looking at, once again, we're looking at living from a place of surrender. The surrender state is the highest state. So there comes a time, this is from letting go, by David Hawkins. There comes a time when it means to do whatever practice you're doing without exception, all the time. The devotion to the truth with a capital T, becomes overwhelming. Okay? So it pulls you beyond you. Do not want to see what's beyond you. It isn't that you're driving it, right? You're being pulled by your own destiny. It is your own karmic commitments that you have chosen the ultimate destiny. Okay? And with this year, we know that crisis doesn't change people, it amplifies who they are. So now we're starting to see the things that we are, right? Who am I? And the things that we're not. And you don't really know who you are until everything is taken. And at this point, I've committed so much to a company that I didn't feel like I had some return on investment, but now I'm seeing it from a different perspective, and now I'm collaborating with them to build something better and seeing what I'm made out of. Okay? So now we're seeing things from fresh eyes, right? We can see things from our child, from our adolescent, from our adults, and it's the same thing as our paradigms, right? You see a spiritual master, spiritual teacher is seeing things, the same chaos that you're seeing, from different perspectives, and seeing how things are perfect. Everything is perfect, right? Because that's the balance of life. We wouldn't know what anything else was, and pain and love, without knowing what that is. Okay? Because we need to feel it, and then we understand that our heart is that which we cannot control. By letting it go and letting it be free, it allows us to also be free, because we let go of wanting to control the world, the environment, right? And also our mind, right? Who we think we are, and going beyond that, and how we feel, and going beyond that. So I'll leave this with you guys for the last thing as we get into the new year. And it's this excerpt that I got from A New Earth, which is such a powerful book, and I highly recommend it to people, especially as we're going into this new year and you want to change, especially spiritually. Okay? And again, it's this idea of the meek shall inherit the earth, because my parents are so humble. I know I'm not, but life humbles you, right? Especially because you are being pulled by the karmic commitment to your destiny. Okay? So they may not have everything that they want, but because they're humble, they're happy. They're at peace. Okay? They may have to work the rest of their lives or whatever it may be and retire knowing that they worked so hard, but it's well worth it because they had done something beyond themselves. They did it for their family. They did it for God. They did it. Okay? And if you want to do what I do, you have to do what I did. Man. That's what unconditional love is. Man. What did Jesus tell his disciples? Heaven is right here, in the midst of you. Okay? It's in you. Holy Spirit is in you. You are the light. That is your only function, and that is why I'm here. Remember that for today's lesson. Okay? Heaven is right here in the midst of you. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus makes the prediction that to this day, few people have understood. He says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." And understand that spiritual evolution and development is not weak. So the meek aren't the weak. Understand that's moving forward, and anybody that tells you anything different. In modern versions of the Bible, meek is translated as humble. Who are the meek or the humble? What does it mean that they shall inherit the earth? The meek are the egoless. They are those who have wakened to their central true nature as consciousness and recognize the essence in all others, all life forms. Okay? Compassion, in essence. They live in the surrender state, highest state, right? And so feel their oneness with the whole and the source. They embody the awakened consciousness that is changing all aspects of life on our planet. Okay? Nature has been waiting for you for millions of years, including nature, because life on earth is inseparable from the human consciousness. This is all in our minds. Okay? And we share the mind with God that perceives and interacts with it. That is the sense in which the meek shall inherit the earth. A new species is rising on the planet. It is rising now, and you are it. God bless every single one of you guys. Happy New Year's. I love you guys so much.